All right, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to Capital Offense. This is our first episode. I am Will Schatz. That is Amir Alvik, who
What's
is
going on, guys?
already breaking here early on. This is just a little show we want to do to talk about kind of the state of the political world from a more humorous perspective of two college students who do not claim to be experts on anything. I am a computer science student, and he is a finance major. So obviously,
I'm an expert in a few things.
right? Expert in getting women, maybe.
No, you gotta cut that part out. You gotta cut that part. You gotta restart.
No. We're rolling. We're rolling now. Okay.
All right.
So yeah, like I said, we don't claim to be experts on anything, but we're gonna do our best to explain.
Because we're gonna talk about the stuff that we talk about. We talk about anyways.
Right. For a
We were
long
just
time.
like, we might as well just put a camera in front of it
Right, and just talk. We feel like
and provide value.
while we don't have all the answers, we feel like we have good talking points that people will enjoy.
And we might find answers.
Maybe. I mean, I think we're generally right. I think we're generally
Right. Right.
We're correct normally. So
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
that. It's good to start there. That we're normally right.
Yeah.
I would say we generally agree on a lot of stuff, but I'm sure as we go through this, I'm sure there's going to be stuff we do disagree on. So that'll be interesting to find out. Hopefully in the future we're able to maybe branch out a little bit and get guests. But for the time being, until we kind of establish an audience, it's just going to be us. Maybe once a week. We'll kind of figure out the schedule as we go, but this is the ground floor. We are launching from here.
Right. And now, especially with this president, there's a lot of stuff to talk about.
There is
A lot of things going
the
on.
entire government.
A lot
is,
of
it's like a reality
collapsing.
show. Yeah, it's like a reality show. And this is the good news that if the country's ending, if this is the end of the empire, we're gonna be here to commentate it all the way down.
You can count on us.
This is it. I mean, we may
Two
be
random
speaking
guys.
Mandarin. Episode 100, we may be speaking Mandarin on here. So.
Mandarin or Russian.
Or Russian, but I bet it's Mandarin, bro.
So you get to see, basically, the audience, the 1.5 people watching, get to
Right.
see us transition from the end of the empire to the beginning of the Mandarin Chinese
Right,
Communist
Chinese-
Party
it's-
empire.
and I'm excited. I'm excited for that.
And listen, I will be bought and sold.
Right.
Genuinely, if the Chinese want to come to us and be like, and purchase shares, purchase interest in our company, I will sell it. I will sell it.
Episode 100 with Xi Jinping is gonna go crazy.
It's gonna go insane, and I will sell my soul to the Communist Party
I will too.
and be a outspoken part of them.
I would sell
the
I would
US.
sell you to the Communist Party of China.
Well,
I
then
would
how
sell
would
the
we do
cause.
the?
And so it would just be like episode 48. There's just a Chinese guy that looks like you. I don't even mention it.
Could you imagine?
I don't even mention it.
Could you imagine? Could you imagine, like, in the future, like, somebody's coming back to watch the podcast and he looks at the first couple episodes and then he skips to, like, episode 250 and it's just, like, a random Chinese guy that looks like me? But, no. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that is changing now, especially. And I feel like starting this podcast at this moment, there's just a lot of, like, hilarity, a lot of like sarcasm, a lot of like what's going on in our world,
Right.
and we want to document it as friends, and whoever watches gets to be able to watch.
Right. So again, we're not experts, but just know that's the first thing we ever said on the ground floor. So when you tweeted us very angrily for an opinion that we may have in the future, whether that's in this episode or something a little bit down the line, we are not experts. We have never claimed to be experts. We are just sitting here talking about it. We'll see.
And kind of, did you see? I mean, one of the first things that's kind of like just insane is the freaking family that died. The helicopter crashed into the water.
Yeah, that was pretty wild. I don't even know what happened there, to be totally honest. I just saw
I don't know either.
Did you see like the propeller went flying off? Did you see the video?
Well, right. I mean, did you see them crash?
Right,
I saw the
them
video
cra-
of them crashing into the
Right, I
water.
saw them crash, and I like how you're doing the hand sign to like really drive home.
Well,
what is the
issue? Like, what is going on?
I saw the propeller fly off the plane, so that's a pretty big issue, or the helicopter. So that's a pretty big. Like, I don't know if you know how helicopters work, but they have a propeller on the top
No, I've never.
that spins.
Right, and it
that
spins.
gives them lift.
Right.
It it flew
Right.
off.
It
So
happened a
they
lot.
they
Right.
crashed because that flew off. So I don't, it's a bad time for aviation with all of like Boeing going down, and you
Well,
have
this
to be
is.
careful when you talk about Boeing. When you talk about Boeing being
I
bad,
don't even want to. I don't even want to touch it. I
you
don't
have
even
to be
want to touch it.
careful because people commit suicide all the time with Boeing.
I don't want to touch it. And here's the thing: you're going to get bad aircrafts when, and this is a good transition to this is you're gonna get bad. You're gonna have propellers flying off when 3-year-old Chinese children make them. You
Right.
know what I mean? Like
Right.
when people are enslaved to make these things, they don't want to do a good job.
Right. Right. Assuming
You
that
know what I
they made,
mean?
assuming this was a Chinese helicopter, I don't know that it was.
I don't think it
It
was,
could have been an American
but like,
helicopter. But when you have a 3-year-old American making it, hey, stuff's gonna break. It's gonna fall apart. I don't know what happened. I don't know if
right.
they hit like a bird or it was like clearly a minor malfunction that it blew up. I mean, it blew up.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know
And
what
now
the
those
issue is,
people
but
are
I
at the
mean,
bottom of the Hudson, so that's like the worst place
right,
to die too.
right, and this is not the first helicopter crash we've seen,
Right.
and it's because of DEI, and hopefully that'll change.
Right.
But
Well, yeah, I mean, we saw that they canceled the DEI program for the air traffic controlman, and then like the next day there were like 20 people that were missing work, and then that helicopter crashed into the plane. So I mean, like,
and these are good policies.
I understand like getting rid of DEI, but maybe don't just like cut people like without any replacements, any backup, any like actual like earned jobs.
Also, like DEI doesn't mean like they're just hiring anybody. Like, you know what I mean? Like it's not like they just see like a black guy walk in and be like, you're hired. Like,
The DEI that I'm against is the one that Republicans push, like the where they're like, oh, these black people just came in and got all these jobs just because they were black, like that. Yeah, I'm against that, but that's just not what's happening. They're just not hiring people that are
yeah, right.
completely unqualified.
The Republicans like have a weird version of DEI.
Right.
They have this like reality world where it's just like people are just walking in businesses and just
Right.
getting hired.
Right. Right. Well, and
Like
you, and,
some Chinese guy shows up to air traffic control and just has a job the next day.
I mean, you're Syrian, and it took you how long to get an internship? I mean, where's the DEI when
I mean,
you needed it?
right? I applied 200 places.
Right. Right.
And
I mean,
I'm a failing college student, which is why I'm doing this podcast.
right, right. So it's where's
I have
the
to pay
DEI?
my own DEI.
Where's the DEI? Well, and you got to think for me, if you're not getting any DEI, what am I getting? I'm not getting anything.
Nothing.
Just
No,
like
you're
a
getting
regular
nothing.
old white guy. I'm getting nothing. So,
Right.
well, that's yeah. Those people are dead at the bottom of the Hudson. That's the long story short. And it's because of DEI.
Right. And Chinese children.
Chinese children.
But that's just kind of the price you have to pay
Did you see this just happened? I saw it right before I got on here. The national champions in college football are visiting the White House today, and
Did see
JD
that.
Vance broke the trophy.
Oh, did he?
Did you see him break it?
I did not see that.
Yeah, he went to pick it up, and it snapped in half, and he dropped both sides on the ground in front of.
This is
everybody.
what happens when you have some random Ohio. He's from Ohio, right?
He is from Ohio. Well, I don't know
Yeah,
where he's.
this is
I think he's originally from like West Virginia or something. But yes,
One of the states that don't matter. I know that.
Right,
I know he
right.
wrote the Bill Boy. What was it? The Billy Boy Elegy.
Oh yeah, his book. Cora read it.
Yeah, his book.
Cora read it. Cora is my wife.
Apparently, it's a really
She
good
read it.
book.
Yeah, she liked it actually, which I was surprised about because she is very liberal. So I was.
It's
very
it's
surprised.
apparently a good book.
And I mean, the funny thing about this administration is the guy that breaks the national championship trophy in half is like one of the more sane people in the administration. So
Well, I'm surprised it wasn't Trump. Like,
I
I'm
know,
surprised Trump didn't just
Well,
go.
I don't even know what Trump would have said. He would have been like, "It must have been made in China. Must have been Chinese trophy. American trophies wouldn't break
It was
that."
Biden.
Yeah, Biden booby trapped the trophy. Oh God. Yeah, JD Vance. It just looked like he was really upset. It didn't look like he didn't blame anybody, which is good. So that's a good sign.
Oh, JD. I will say though, between the both of them, JD seems more like the candidate that Republicans wanted out of Trump,
Right.
which is more of a the moderate, like level-headed guy
Well, because he's
who
a
is not
politician.
right. Well, not even just that, because like you saw those text messages that got leaked where he's like, "Guys, why are we doing this?"
Right.
Like bombing Yemen. He was like, "This is not. This is weird." Well,
Well,
then he also was just like,
he
"Okay,
went
let's
through
just
with
do
it,
it."
but I mean, and part of that is like if you're in a group chat with a whole bunch of people, including a journalist, um, you're gonna just kind of go. I feel like you're just gonna go along with the crowd a little bit, especially if all of these high-ranking advisors are saying, "Yeah, this is a good thing." The problem that I had with his stance on it is he was primarily against it, not because he was against killing people and like bombing a third world country, but he was against it because it didn't make any sense for America to be doing it.
Money.
He
Yeah,
wanted
it was
Europe
money.
to do it. He was like and he's totally right. Like 60% of European trade goes through there, and only like less than 15%.
I think it was
of
2%.
Yeah, it's something like really low goes through American trade wise. So he was like, why are we doing this and not Europe? And then they were like, no. And then it was who was it? The guy with the Iron
Pete.
Cross on it. Yeah, Pete Hegseth. He was like, "No, VP, like this is a good thing." And JD
Yeah,
was
this
like,
is we
and
need
JD
this.
was like, and then they blew up an
Some
apartment
apartment
building
complex.
with I'm sure just the terrorist in it. I'm sure there was nobody else in it. I'm also sure that the terrorists didn't just go down into a tunnel and they just killed a bunch of random people for no reason.
Right, but that is America.
Right, and then they all sent like flexing emojis and American flag emojis, which made me feel very patriotic about what was
Right.
going on.
And this is but what people need to understand is this is just has to happen
And the funny thing is that was, I mean, a couple
for
weeks
safety.
ago. That was a couple weeks ago, right? And still nobody's gotten fired for the oversight to add an anti-Trump journalist to that group chat and
Right,
leak
because
the
that was kind of odd.
yeah.
That
And then the guy that added him was like, I don't even know who that is. I don't even have his number. And it's like, well, clearly you do because you added him to the chat. And how would you
Never really-
accidentally add him to the chat? That specific guy who was the big, like, he was a Russiagate reporter when talking about when Trump was allegedly a Russian spy and then wasn't. He was the one that was pushing the whole thing. So
that is weird that the person that was added is like the most anti-Trump administration person you
Right.
could add.
Right. And then
Or one of the
he
most.
like white knighted it and said that he left because he was so disgusted by the behavior in the chat, even though he had sat there long enough to screenshot like days of conversation.
That's something I didn't really look into is how
And nobody
like
got fired.
what
for it.
happened.
Nobody got fired for it. Nobody resigned. Nobody got fired for it. It seems to just be over. And they like were doing an investigation into it the next day. And then the
Of
investigation,
what, like, of how they got it?
they invited all the people that were I don't think all the people that were in the Signal group chat, but most of them up in front of Congress, like the next day or 2 days later, and basically just yelled at him and told him not to do it again. And then now it's over. And
Well, that's kind of our government is like
how,
timeout.
How much
you get put in
more? How
timeout.
much more is being handled through Signal? I mean, how much is like on these unclassified channels? Because this is literally what the Republicans got mad at Hillary over, was using an encrypted, like declassified, like Gmail account for sensitive information.
Yeah, I mean,
Well, and then Trump has classified files at Mar-a-Lago after his first term, and that's one of the charges that they got him on.
and he
then-
won't give them back, right? Like he's not
he
giving
wasn't
them
going to give them back because he said that they were declassified at
Base.
the point, even though that they were still classified. And then all the Republicans are like, no, it's fine. And then Biden does the same thing. Biden had a whole bunch of classified documents, and they were like, he should be impeached. He should. It's like just the double standard is wild on both sides. I mean, on both sides.
But
It's
what?
wild.
But like, dude, I am taking classified files if I'm president. Like I'm doing that.
It depends on what.
Like I'm sorry,
If it's something stupid, like,
dude. But like, it's probably something interesting. Like, because otherwise, why would you risk taking something dumb?
if I knew there was the CIA confirmed killed JFK in some of those files, yeah, I'm gonna keep them. I'm gonna photocopy them. I'm gonna
Well-
distribute them everywhere.
Even about that, they're not. Where are the files?
Well, so
They're withholding them.
they dumped all the JFK files they had. I figured they wouldn't have anything.
No, they're not. I don't think they dumped all of them.
They
There's
dumped all of them.
No, there's some still things that are redacted.
Well, yes, there's still some stuff that's redacted, but regardless, I don't think the stuff that's even redacted is. I don't think they're gonna have a file after however many 60 years that says the CIA was an inside job and this is why the CIA killed him. I just think they have gotten rid of those files a long time ago, which like is a convenient conspiracy. This is the first episode, and I'm gonna assume most viewers don't know how I feel about JFK. I'm a very big JFK conspiracy theorist guy. I definitely think it's more than likely that the CIA was involved in the Kennedy assassination for one reason or another. And whenever Trump first got in office and he signed the executive order that said he was going to release the documents, I was excited because, like, of course, any like classified document that old should be declassified and available to the American people. But I didn't think that there was going to be anything in it. So,
Well, what's interesting is the Israeli participation in this is a little interesting.
I've never really gotten so much into the Israeli side of it. I just know the CIA's interest in the fight against communism. I don't really
Well,
know. Is there a Mossad aspect to it that I'm missing?
there was thing
Because timeline
the
wise, this would have been what, 10 years, 15 years after the state of Israel was created.
well, it's not that. It's because JFK wasn't. A lot of people like to exaggerate JFK's like hard line against Israel. It wasn't that crazy. He wasn't anti-Israel. Obviously, no president would be, but he was like almost going to put like U.S. Israeli relations on the line because. So I don't know if you know this. When Israel was making its nuclear program, JFK was trying to send scientists to Israel to make sure that they weren't developing a nuclear program. But when the scientists would go to Israel, the Israeli officials were not letting the scientists do their due diligence to be able to conclude whether or not or whether they were making a nuclear program. Like there would be rooms that these
Right.
people weren't able to go to. They wouldn't be the full truth. They would basically have like already a set up route that they would go and be like, okay, that's it. Like go home. And so like the scientists when they would come back, they couldn't conclude whether they were or whether they were not doing it. So at some point JFK was getting this information about the Israelis being super hard and not like fully allowing the scientists to see if they were doing it. There was a point where he was like, if you don't let us conclude or conduct
The
a
investigation,
thorough
yeah.
investigation on your nuclear program, then we're going to have to rethink the U.S. and Israeli relationship. And it was shortly after he said that his head go off.
Right.
But, and I'm not saying it's Mossad,
Right.
but wouldn't it be if maybe the Mossad and CIA both had mutual interest
Yeah.
to get rid of a guy who's like,
I,
and also the CIA wanted Israel redacted in the files, and I think they did get redacted in the files.
well, how would we know they're redacted?
Well,
Uh,
according to this article by DailySabah.com,
oh,
uh,
what do they think? What do they think?
they said it should be noted that the CIA wanted everything related to Israel in the files to be redacted.
Where did they get that information from?
Um,
Did they talk to somebody at the CIA?
well, I think that I don't know, man. Who the
I
frick
think,
knows?
and personally, just from my own research, I don't. I mean, I don't think it's an impossibility that Israel was involved in some way in conjunction with the CIA. I think it is far more likely that the CIA was extremely worried that Kennedy was not going to continue the fight against communism, which is what they were making a lot of money on, and they had a lot of
Well, right,
weapons
and
companies.
JFK was also anti like CIA. Like he did not
Right.
trust the
He
CIA
he
at
did.
all.
He wanted to take. He was. I think there's a quote of him saying like he wanted to take a wrecking ball to the CIA, and
Right,
so they
but I
don't
mean,
like that very much.
what I'm saying is maybe I'm not saying like Mossad. Like I guess what I'm saying is like maybe there were people in both governments that had mutual interests because back then, especially like taking a hard line against Israel like that was
Right.
an issue.
Right.
Because this is in the middle of like where Arab and Israeli relations were the most high.
Right.
Maybe not now, but like they have been going to war constantly. And the U.S. was like at that point the only benefactor of Israel because Europe wasn't really too involved in the Middle East back then.
Right.
And then you have a president being like, "Oh, if you don't let us do this, we're gonna have to rethink relations." Like
Right.
maybe that, you know what I'm saying? Like maybe it's time for you to go,
Now,
especially if you're anti-CIA.
what I do believe, and this is something that's a little outlandish, I don't, with Lee Harvey Oswald, I don't think he ever even fired a shot at the president. I don't think he was
I think
ever
he did.
I don't think he did. I think he was like sheep dipped and put in that building specifically because I don't know if you've heard the whole story about his path on that day, but they're saying that he shot multiple bullets down at the president, put the gun away, hit it, then ran down like 6 flights of stairs into a break room where he bought a can of Coke and sat down to where a lady, a secretary or
Well,
somebody in the building
he needed to relax.
saw him and he was not out of breath and was surprised at the news that somebody had shot the president. And he had done this all in like 45 seconds.
Well, maybe. Well, I mean, him firing or him not firing, I think it's almost confirmed that there were multiple bullets.
There definitely were multiple bullets from multiple places. I don't think
Right.
he fired
So I
one
think
bullet at all. I think when he's sitting there and he's getting perp walked out to the car and he says, "I'm a patsy, like it wasn't me," and his wife sits there and says that
I'd believe it.
knows that it wasn't her husband. I mean, granted, this woman is a Russian woman, so I mean, we can only
you already gotta like whoa.
But I don't think I've been on this for a while. I don't think he fired a single shot. I think he was unfortunately maybe an idiot and got was like the perfect
Coerced
guy,
by somebody.
Right, was the perfect guy for the CIA to because he already had like kind of ties to the Russians anyway, and but how involved he was with the Bay of Pigs and all sorts of like crazy stuff. That's my JFK conspiracy outlandish thought is that he didn't.
I don't
fire
think
a single shot.
I don't think it. I think regardless, I think most people now, if you've looked into it even a little bit, realize okay, maybe Lee Harvey, maybe there was multiple shooters. So like him firing a bullet or him not firing a bullet doesn't even really matter. It matters if you think Lee Harvey Oswald fully did it, and then if you tell somebody he didn't fire a shot, you're like,
I don't know anybody in my life anymore, and this is, I mean, even people that I don't consider conspiracy theorists that think that Lee Harvey Oswald was the only shooter. They may think he fired shots, but I think I think it's very generally like almost consensus now that there were definitely multiple shooters, especially because people on the ground that day that they interviewed said that they saw multiple shooters.
Right. And I mean, what better way to start off the podcast with this?
Right. I mean,
Like,
we might
with
as
the
well
biggest
start.
conspiracy.
We might as well start. I mean, this. I don't know that this is the biggest, but it is up there for sure. If I mean,
Yeah, and we're also not providing anything new. Like we're not like.
No. But I'm.
But
I need to go on record because this is something I'm big on.
But I will say is what what the recent assassination attempt on Trump with that guy. What was his name? Freaking whatever his name was. The guy on the roof.
Was it Crooks?
Something like that. I don't know.
Yeah.
But what's interesting on that is how there's haven't been an investigation on because bro, that whole situation just smells like conspiracy.
Oh,
How do you have somebody on that roof in such a clear line to the president? That's the apparently that one spot the Secret Service just didn't.
they said it was too dangerous.
Right, they said they were slipping.
Yeah.
They said they would slipped
Which
off.
the weird thing
So
is that the video where you see the Secret Service guy shoot him, he's on a more slanted roof than that.
Right. I think like one of the head Secret Service or one of the people that were like conducting the strategy for that area. I think she was like, "Oh, it's too dangerous. It was too slippery. Like somebody was gonna slip off if we set somebody
Right.
there." I'm like, oh, bro, and the fact that people saw him beforehand.
He was standing out there with a rangefinder.
There are videos of this guy climbing
Yes.
up. They're like,
They're like, he's up there. Like he's up there. He's got a gun. He's gonna shoot him. And everybody,
Yeah.
well, and then the thing is with the Secret Service video where you watch him shoot him, they're watching him the whole time. It takes until he gets a shot or a couple shots off at the
There's
president.
two, I think.
Until they finally kill him. I mean, he's got a gun and he's however close to the president, like he's gonna try something.
Yeah, it was pretty wild. But what I'm saying is, like, where's the investigation?
There wasn't really an investigation at all, and if there was, it was like open close for sure.
And like, who? It like, didn't they go to his house or whatever?
Yeah,
and it was like
the local police went to, or the local FBI, I think, went to his house, and the entire thing was scrubbed. He didn't have any silverware in the house. They took all.
That's
the
what it
silverware.
was. That's what it was.
And like weird. Everything was scrubbed. He had 5 different phones, and then there was one. There was pings from like government issued phones to that kid's house.
Did you hear what happened to his dad?
I think I did at the time, but I don't remember.
Oh, dude, this is the craziest story. When they ransacked his house, well, what was weird too is his dad was like the biggest Ukraine supporter ever. Like his dad,
I never heard that.
Yeah, his dad went to go or tried to volunteer to fight for Ukraine multiple times, and like on his Facebook, there was like a bunch of like pro-Ukraine.
Are you confusing this with like the second shooter? Because the guy in the bush at the golf.
Oh, maybe it's that guy.
Yeah,
maybe it's that guy.
That guy had gone to the Ukraine to fight for the Ukrainians.
That
was the second guy. That was the second shooter, and that was the guy that didn't get a shot off on Trump. He got
right. So this is already establishing pretty good credibility with the viewership.
Right. Well, I mean, we're fact checking each other here. That was the second.
That guy. Right. Okay. So that guy was a really, and then they found out when they were doing the investigation on that guy, he had like so much child porn on his phone.
It was his son's. It was his son's computer. His son had a whole.
Should I take a hike? Should I take a hike?
No. But I mean, imagine like I don't know how old his son was. I think he was about our age. Imagine you like go your whole life, you're scot free with the the kid pictures, right? And then your dad.
Oh yeah, here it is.
The president.
Right. That's how you get caught.
Right. That's
like
really
you're getting away with this.
Right. You are clean. Like you've got it set up on a system. I can't see it. You've got it set up on a system, and they come in, like the FBI raids your house, and then you're like, oh crap, like I am screwed.
Like, Dad, why did you do that?
Right, like you have ruined me. Which I mean, like he should be in prison, but imagine like he probably had like a personal server set up and had a whole thing going.
Probably had a system down.
Yeah, and he got busted, bro. His dad.
Now I feel like the biggest way we can get this marketing is we try to assassinate President Trump. Like if we wear a capital offense, like that would be a true capital offense.
Right, but we would only get one episode in.
But imagine the freaking viewership that this first episode, like.
Right, but we'd never be able to film an episode again.
Maybe not.
Also, I don't want to do that.
Yeah. Well, I am surprised.
They might deport you. You need to be careful.
I am surprised. Did you see the El Salvadorian president said he's not going to send that guy back that got wrongfully deported?
Did he say that?
Yeah, he said to Trump that he's not going to send him back. Yeah.
Wasn't he?
The guy who wasn't here illegally.
Yeah.
They're not sending him back, is what the El Salvadorian said today.
What do you
or whenever he met Trump?
He's in he's actually in hell. Like he's actually in hell.
Watch guy. Jamie, pull it up.
Yeah, Jamie needs to pull that up.
Deported to El Salvador.
Imagine like one of us were to go there. Have you seen the videos of them like getting them off the bus and stuff?
Yeah, El Salvador leader won't return man deported in error. So I mean, that guy just has a free vacation in El Salvador.
Right, in like one of the worst prisons ever.
No, I don't think they're gonna imprison him though. There's no way they keep him in prison.
Is he an El Salvadorian citizen? I think there is a way that they keep him in prison because this is the same president.
There's no way.
He imprisoned like brothers of gang members. Like he wasn't like they weren't even convicted of anything. He was just rounding up everybody. Did you see him whenever he was talking with Trump? He was like, he was like they were asking about something, and honestly may have been about that, and I just saw the back half of the quote. But he was like, like, do you want me to release criminals back into my country? And Trump was like, yeah, they definitely would, like pointing at the media. And the El Salvadorian president was like, yeah, I know they would. And I like half of me like, that's what Trump wants to be, bro. That is the guy that Trump wants to be. He wants to be the guy that like just rounds everybody up and puts them in jail just to like claim victory on crime.
The thing is, man, like, we're not like El Salvador level crime.
No.
Like like I have been living in the United States for 22 years, which is my age.
Right.
And this is a very I live in probably in a bubble, sure, and this is just like my experience, but like I've never like had to duck beneath bullets to get home or to go to school.
Right.
Sure, some people have, but like that's not the majority of the United States.
Right. I wouldn't even say like you could go in Chicago, you could go to Chicago and like walk around and you would be fine. Like it's like Chicago is like one of the highest crime rate cities in the country.
But yeah, the thing about the crime in the U.S. is it's not like random crime. It's like revenge. It's like,
I mean, sometimes it is like petty stuff, but it like rarely are you gonna get murdered just randomly on the street. Normally, it's a lot of gang related. If it is murder, it's gang related. But yeah, so I saw that with the El Salvadorian president, and he's a handsome guy. He's a handsome guy.
Well, the thing is too, is these deportations, I don't like. If you want to deport violent criminals, and you want to deport criminals and deport people who are making Americans unsafe, I think nobody would say no to that. Right. Especially like even people on the left. But like I think when you're getting into just like deporting illegal people just because they came here illegally,
right?
It's like, okay, what are you doing? Like maybe you should let the people that stay who have already established lives here.
Right. I do feel like you eventually run out of like a lot of the people that you're deporting are like very hard workers that are doing
like
jobs.
essentially Americans just without citizenship.
Right. That are doing jobs that a lot of Americans like not only don't want to do but like wouldn't do. Like roofing and stuff.
'Cause we're lazy.
That. Right. Like no like every time that I've ever seen a roofing company in this town, it's always been one guy, like the owner, on the ground, and then like 10 Mexicans on the roof, like.
Well, and I also don't think that's also why I don't think he'll go through with like the mass deportation. It's because like all of his rich friends benefit from it. Like half of America benefit from cheap labor. Is it right? No. Like, should we be able to take advantage of it? Maybe not, but it's a thing that exists, and you can't just get rid of it.
I mean, this is a common theme with the administration, where I would say that they haven't gone through with a lot of the stuff that they've promised on the campaign trail. So that's why,
like probably none of it.
That's why, like when people, I don't know if you remember, but at the very beginning, they were like, he's gonna like abolish the Department of Education, and like there's gonna be all these cuts to these programs that people rely on, and like we need to be together because he's gonna be against us, so we all need to be together. In the back of my head, I was like, bro, he's still a politician. Like he's not gonna do any of this stuff. Like what he promised on the campaign trail just isn't what he's gonna do. And sure, he's done like he's trying to get rid of taxes on tips and on Social Security and stuff like that. Fine, but like the whole, and I voted for him. You did not vote, I don't believe, for president. No. You voted in the election, but I don't think you voted for president.
Yeah, not for president.
And the reason that I voted for him is purely from the standpoint of he may actually cut some of these government programs, and he just hasn't. Like the idea of Doge was very attractive to me, enough so where I actually voted for him, and he hasn't cut anything really. And actually, the cuts that he promised he was going to make, he has since reinstated.
I think with Doge, I think his administration came with like a realization where it's like, oh, you can't take a chainsaw to everything. I think that's like
Right.
one of the issues. It's like, oh, wait, maybe some of these programs people actually benefit from,
The
and
the
we can't just get rid of it
the
all.
problem that I have is the continued funding of NGOs and these groups that claim to do one thing and then are actively like nation building and other stuff like around the world, and the continued funding from these organizations that can say, well, we're not associated with the government, but we are receiving, $500 million or $500 billion or however much money it is, where they're receiving it, and they can say, well, we're not a part of the federal government. So, like, and I think maybe Trump realized that he didn't want to cut those programs because he realized that he could use those programs to his own advantage, just like every president has. But they don't have the best interest of the United States in mind, and they're politically unpolitical organizations, so they can like claim immunity even though they're not
Yeah,
immune to what they're doing. And so that's kind of what I was hoping he would start with, and he did. Like, he cut USAID. There was a lot of like programs that could have fallen under the Department of the State Department that he said he was going to integrate into the State Department. And then in this most recent uh, House funding spending bill, they have just reestablished all of it, and I think the Doge cuts that they recommended $1.2 trillion in cuts, they are cutting $8 billion. So not even
yeah.
close, and that is a drop in the bucket of a country that is flooded with um, debt. So yeah, it's good.
It's not. It's not going in a great direction.
No, no, he's
It's
actually
not going in a great
this would be
direction.
a record. This would be a record spending bill. This would be a record spending bill. So, and it's
I think I think he also talked about putting a trillion in the bumping up the uh, military budget up by a trillion. I think that's a bill that he proposed, or that's being talked
which
about,
is bizarre because
which is
he came
insane.
into office, and one of the first things that he offered, and I don't think he was serious about this, but he did offer it, which was kind of refreshing for to hear a president offer this, is that he offered if China and Russia cut their military budgets by 50%, he would cut the U.S. budget by
Right,
50%.
which Russia won't because they're in the middle of a war, and
Well,
also China.
Russia said that they would if China did, and China said no.
China, yeah, China won't do that.
China said no. But that, I mean, that was refreshing to hear, and then now it just
But
seems like we've
the
reversed
thing
course.
is he's already leading towards a really unpopular path.
Right.
What would make him probably the most unpopular president ever if he actually goes with, because his administration was talking this before, is this war with Iran
Yeah.
and how it's inevitable.
Yeah.
And and these strikes in Yemen already were super unpopular. Um, the continuing funding of these wars is super unpopular. These tariffs are already super unpopular. Like, if there hasn't, and I will say there's a lot of like bias, obviously. Like, with the tariffs, the thing is like a lot of these college students are coming in who like don't understand um like Trump has like people who are like uh studied
Economists.
the
Yeah.
economy, and
Yeah.
they're not like just slapping tariffs just to
Right.
slap tariffs.
Right. Well,
So
and
maybe
I
there's like a
do
little
think
bit of
Trump
bias.
himself understands tariffs. I like as a businessman, I think he gets it. Like I don't think Trump's an idiot when it comes to it. I don't think he's doing it as a way to intentionally cripple the economy. I
There's
don't
a long-term game at plan, and
Right.
it's a very risky plan
Right.
because if it doesn't work, all you got is inflated prices
Right.
and businesses failing because they're not able to afford the products that they needed.
I did think it was curious. Last month they had a good like economic report. Like inflation was down, and job numbers were good, and they had a good like a overall good like just good economic outlook for the month of March. And a lot of these right-leaning like newspapers and publications and like the Trump administration themselves were claiming like victory and that the tariffs were working and it was great. And so I did a little research because like we've said, we're not experts either. And so I did a little research, and I was like, how long realistically would it take for tariffs to actually hurt the economy in a way that would be reflected on a report like that? And it said at minimum 3 months. and at most 6. And so
Yeah.
I did because his first tariffs went into place in February. So at best, it's been 2 months. At worst, with like the hard tariffs, it's been about a month. So I think, and I get it. Like, I get claiming victory, like it's a political thing, and being like, yeah, look how good the economy is. Inflation's down, and inflation is almost at 2%. So that, I mean, that is good news. But I would caution against declaring tariffs good this early, because I don't think we've seen the effects yet. I think in the summer we're really going to start to see adverse economic
Well,
effects.
I was actually furniture shopping,
Mhm.
and the lady told us that we should buy everything we should buy now because
Right,
prices are going up 70% in like a couple weeks.
right,
So like when you want to go buy a coffee table, you have to spend $2 trillion to buy that coffee table.
right. Two
But
trillion. Yeah,
right. But that is Trump's America,
that
and
is
I'm
Trump's
for it.
America.
I'm actually pro
He
$2 trillion
and
coffee
he
tables.
could cook. Like, he could cook. This could
I
work.
don't.
I don't think it
Uh,
will. I don't think it will. But he could cook. I mean, like, if China really, because China isn't I wouldn't say they're antsy yet, but I do get the impression from like more and more quotes that I read out of Beijing that they're a little bit they're starting to get a little bit more concerned about the tariffs, especially because now the EU and America have a 90-day tariff pause, and they're kind of starting to negotiate. I think if those negotiations go well, and like European and American trade opens back up, and there's still a trade war with China, I do think it could
the
make China a little bit nervous.
the problem is like America is not at the end of the day, America is not set up for manufacturing.
Right.
We export our biggest export is culture. Our biggest export is services.
Right.
Like that those are big. We don't export anything or we don't export a lot of like actual products
Right.
because that's not how America's economy was set up to do.
Right.
So like I see his intention, and I see because at the end of the day, there is a point where you do have to protect American brand, like American products and American services and American brands. Like you can't just let everything be from foreign.
Right.
So I see why, and I don't think if his administration could come out and instead of doing what the left does, which is just gaslighting everybody that doesn't agree with you and being like, oh, you're just anti-American because you don't believe. Like if his administration could just come out and be like, guys, these are our visions with the tariffs. This is what we're trying to do. This is the
Right.
trade deficit. We take in so much and we give out so little. This is how we're hurting because of our certain situation. If we implement these tariffs, this could happen and allow this to happen. Allow America, like if they could come out and just explain why, I think a lot of people would be like, okay, maybe
Right.
he has a point where like this trade deficit is hurting American.
And
But
part
like
of
I remember this conversation, everything being Chinese, like when I was in elementary.
right. And part of the issue too is that Trump and his administration is so stubborn that I don't feel like
Ah, yeah,
I don't feel like
that's
he
another
wants
issue.
to explain anything, because he knows people are going to disagree with him regardless. So he's
But
just going
like
to
I
be like,
just
"Listen, you're just going to take it. Like, this is what we're going to do."
the thing is like the right is now doing what like the left has done for years, which is just like if you don't agree with us, we're gonna gaslight you into thinking you're a bad person.
Right.
So like if you don't agree with the tariffs, what we're gonna do is say, oh, you're just not America first, and you want foreign and people to succeed. It's
It
like
is the same
relax.
tactic. It is the same tactic. And
Yeah,
it's bizarre to see that.
it's like we don't want to pay $100 for it. Like you know what I mean? Like
Right.
that's the issue.
Right. Right. And it is weird to see that, because it's like the Republicans have spent the last 4 years complaining about all of this and this behavior and like this attitude towards the opposition. And then they get into power, and the argument would be, well, they did it to us, so why can't we do it to them? Because maybe that's not what like the average American wants. Like, maybe you could have been the party that took the higher road, and
And the issue is too on that is like there is no party that represents the average American anymore.
right.
It used to be the Democrats. From what I've been told, is like the Democrat was like the party of the common man. Um,
Right.
but like,
And
uh,
I would honestly say now, like, it's more of like a young and old split. instead of like common man versus like working class versus like rich corporate class. But I would bet that if we polled people our age, I mean, of course there's like prominent liberals and then there's very prominent Republicans that like will like die on the hill of their party. Like we know both sides of that. But I would bet that if you actually like got down to the root issues and asked people to pick a party, I don't think they would be able to pick a party.
Most people our age, yeah. I don't think
Because I think most people fall somewhere in the middle of the two. Like you may be left leaning and you may be right leaning, but both parties have gone so far right and so far left that
it's too polarizing.
It is eventually a circle. So eventually everything will fall back in the middle. And I think, especially with some of the I see politicians sometimes on Instagram for other states that pop up, and I don't know how popular these people are, but I feel like I see more frequently like not centrist politicians, but people that are like, I'm a Democrat, but I'm willing to work with this side to get this done, and this is what we need for our city. So hopefully, as these politicians establish themselves in cities and state governments, we'll see these people get escalated up to the federal level because the current system is not working well.
And this current like right wing wave too is so like they're so petty and they're so like egotistical in a way where it's like oh, like look, we were right about the left, so we have to be right about everything.
Right.
And it's like, you don't believe us, you're not America first, blah blah blah. It's like, dude, it's like this is why Bernie Sanders was so got so much attention, is because he was advocating for the average American. Like He was like, why don't we have free healthcare? Why isn't there free education?
Right.
Why? And like, I'm not saying you have to agree, disagree, but like he was like, if you were to ask the average American, they would be like, yes, I want free healthcare. Everybody, like the fact that we don't have a opportunity for every American to have at least free health. It doesn't have to be great. It doesn't have to be amazing. But like the fact that like there's not a path where every American can get free healthcare is insane, especially for us being the richest country.
Well, and for a long time, and fundamentally, I don't agree with state control over healthcare, but my argument for a long time against it was it would be too expensive in the long term. And once I saw and like got older, and especially with this Russia-Ukraine war and now the war in Gaza, how much money we're sending to other countries for, I mean, anything. Like, I mean, we're just sending them cash and weapons and stuff. And also with one of the good things about Doge is that they have opened up the books and we can see how much money we're wasting on X, Y, and Z. There's so much waste in the government that I've changed my opinion on the fact that you couldn't find the money. Like, we're clearly taxing our people enough that we could find the money to create state-run healthcare. Again, I don't agree with. I agree that I think that healthcare should be a private function and is more efficiently ran by the private sector. But my argument against it used to be it was too expensive. I can't make that argument anymore. I mean, there's money there to use on it, but we're using
that's what I'm saying.
Waste. We're using it.
We're
wasting it.
We are one of the richest countries in the world. I mean, we might as well be a company, but we are one of the richest countries in the world.
We are the richest country in the world.
Yeah, and I mean, like, dude, even if it was a tax issue, it's like, I think I would, if I could chip in just a little bit more so that everybody could get free health. Like, that's what a society is.
Right.
Is like everybody chip it in. Like, maybe, I don't know, maybe at the end of this I turn into Karl Marx, which would be insane. But yeah, and that's pretty much my communist manifesto.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I don't. That's part of it too. Is I think that like if it's a tax issue, I would always err on the side of less taxes, and then people would have more money to put into private healthcare. And I think that maybe regulation of private healthcare to a certain extent is a good thing. But
well, okay, if you're not gonna have free healthcare, you should fix the pharmaceutical industry, and you should fix the medical. Like, there's no reason why
Oh, certainly.
you go to a hospital and you have to pay
Certainly.
$200,000.
Well, there needs to be more transparency, and I think that's where the
Yeah.
regulation we're missing is we're regulating certain things, in the drugs and certain like practices the hospitals can actually use. Where in reality, it should just be more transparent. We should be regulating the transparency of it and saying, when you go to a hospital, you know exactly what you're going to pay, and you can call another hospital and say, "Hey, what are you going to charge me? This is what they're charging me. Can you beat this?" And we'll come.
Yeah.
We'll come to you. And same way with drugs. Like there should be as many people producing a specific drug as possible, so that like when Pfizer charge, I don't, and this is just an example, like when Pfizer charges $10 for a drug, you could say, okay, well, what's Moderna charging? Oh, they're charging 8.
Right.
Well, I'm gonna go do business with them because they're charging, and so that'll drive competition. So I think that's primarily where I'd like to see some regulation. And the pharmaceutical drugs are an insane issue, like price wise, it's insane. And the fact
Very brave of you for say.
I know that's a wild, but it's like the fact that I know people personally that have gotten a drug for 10 years, and they've paid $12 with insurance for years, and then all of a sudden they go and it's 30, which may not seem like that much of a jump, but like if you're a single mom with 2 kids and you're living paycheck to paycheck, $18 extra could be especially if it's like a 2-week refill, $18 extra every 2 weeks could be, that could be a substantial amount of money.
Yeah.
So there's definitely something to be said there.
Yeah.
But we're at 52 minutes, so we could wrap if we wanted to.
Yeah, I was gonna say I think that's all I got. I think
that's pretty solid. So I think we'll do this once a week and discuss more as
and we'll see you on the next episode.
Okay, all right. Well, yeah, we'll see you all next week for some more political talk with the two guys. Oh yeah.